Most people don't know why their mind says what it says when they're alone, but that doesn't mean you can't change the words that you hear. My name is Douglas Bedford, and in today's video, we're going to talk about self-talk and how you can use it to change your life. So we should probably start with talking about what self-talk actually is. You probably heard a lot about self-help advice over the years, but what if I told you there was a much easier way to change your self-talk and transform your life? But before I go into that, maybe we should talk about what self-talk is, because when you change your self-talk, you can change your life. Self-talk is basically the thoughts you have about yourself and your situation, and it's your internal dialogue you have with yourself. So for example, when you think about something that's happened to you, maybe yesterday, or something that you're doing in the future, you might have words that come up with, God, I wish I didn't do that. Tomorrow I'm going to crush that appointment. Tomorrow I'm going to crush that interview. I'm finally going to get what I deserve. Things are always going to end up like they always do. Terrible. However that self-talk goes, it's the monologue that you have in your head narrating your interpretation of your life. Maybe you notice yourself doing it today. Maybe you notice yourself even doing it now. But the real question naturally becomes, how do you think about yourself? What are the beliefs you have about yourself? And if you're like most people, a lot of those times that's framed in negative terms, which will naturally lead to self-defeating thoughts. And if you're anything like me, especially since you're watching now, you want to find a way to control those thoughts so that you can logically get to the future life that you want, that you can see in your mind so clearly. And you're just trying to figure out that thing that's getting in your way. And that way of getting to it is having the right self-talk. So let's start with the good things, the benefits of self-talk. So as you can imagine, much of your self-talk depends on your personality. If you're an optimist, your self-talk may be more hopeful or positive. And the opposite of that is generally true if you're a pessimist. But let's focus now on the benefits. You can improve your performance, your overall well-being, when you have a positive self-image. And if you have that powerful self-image, then naturally your self-talk will reflect that. And that will improve the way you perform in games, in work, your personal life, overall, just how your life generally is. In addition, positive self-talk has, of course, health benefits. According to Healthline, some of those benefits are increased vitality, greater life satisfaction, improved immune function, reduced pain, better physical well-being, reduced risk of death, less stress and distress. But you don't need a long list of things like that to tell you that having a better, optimistic look towards life is probably going to give you a better life. And overall, it's important to believe in yourself, but research suggests that those who are positive about themselves are less likely, of course, to become depressed. They're also better at coping with hardships and challenges because they see a way of getting past them. But now let's take a peek on the other side of that coin of positive self-talk and look at negative self-talk. Or should I say the dangers of negative self-talk. So just like positive self-talk can influence our health, negative self-talk can do the same thing. It can affect our health. And to encapsulate that, there's a saying, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And if you focus on all things that aren't working in your life, then with the limited bandwidth that we all have, you're not going to have any energy to actually attain the things you want. So if you focus on things that are going right, then those are the things that you'll see. If you focus on the things going wrong, then you're only going to have the things that go wrong. It's kind of like the story my driver instructor told me. Like, if you're driving, don't look at any crash because you'll go towards the crash. Focus on the road that you want to go down. Same thing can be with the goals that you have in life. Focus on the goals that you want to attain. In fact, I used to run track in high school, and I used to get in my head leading up to the events. As much as I wanted to win the race, I just felt like I was going to lose no matter what. And I was having these inner battles that would go off in my head. And my coach, who's also like a performance coach, mental performance coach, told me to put a soundtrack together about an hour long of songs that I like. And whenever my mind would wander, focus on that music, focus on those words. And I'm sure he knew what he was doing, but he was putting me in a state of being present. Whenever my mind would wander about the event or past or other running events, I would just focus on the words of the song. Once the time went by, it was ready to run, and I just had to focus on running. It made me completely present. So for you, if you ever deal with being so far in the future or so far in the past, focus on what can make you present in the moment. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but that leads to 3 ways you could change your self-talk. So that leads to the first thing you could do, being present. Sometimes we get so caught up in the past and so worried about the future that we can't just enjoy where we're at right now. And if you can find a way to be present, whether it's creating a soundtrack or meditating, journaling, that is one way that you can get ahead of your self-talk. The second way is reframing what you say and turning it into a positive statement. So if you're saying that you're going to lose a race, then you have to ask yourself, is there a positive way of reframing that? One way would be I'm in the best shape possible and I'm going to run as fast as possible. Simple, right? But if you can find ways of slowly finding ways to see the positive in where you're at in your present moment, that is one way to control your self-talk. And the third way is take some time to make sure what you're doing is with alignment, congruency on with what you want. Because sometimes having negative self-talk or just self-talk that doesn't feel right, it feels like it's going against what you believe, you just might not be doing something that you don't want to do. And if you can be honest with yourself, then you can focus your attention, right? Your energy goes where your attention flows towards actually the goal that you want to achieve. Something to think about. If you want help with creating your goals or flipping your negative self-talk, there's a link in the description for a free masterclass that shows you how to change your negative self-talk. Click it, let me know what you think. Please like, subscribe, and hit that little bell if you like this video. And this is Douglas again, and until next time.